gentlemen, you're watching Politrixx. Of course, crazy names, crazy guy. How you doing? I'm Michael, and we've got today in the studio, we've got Wes Clark, the director,
yes, sir.
Wes Clark, and the chef, entrepreneur, strategist, Brandy. There's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, there is. We can rock with that.
We can rock with that, right?
That's strategist, creative. We'll rock with that.
We'll rock with that. I'll take it. Brandy, Cochrane. How you guys doing?
We good.
Excellent.
Good.
Excellent.
Good, man. You know, end of the year coming up.
End of the year. Yes, right. So this is Politrixx. This is a conversation about everything you're not supposed to talk about. Religion, politics, science, eating right.
Don't talk about science anymore. When did that get on the list?
Can't. Not if you say religion, then science right after. Then it becomes polar. All of a sudden, people get polarized. So this is gonna have a good time.
I'm not a flat earther. Just
You're
for
not
record.
So of course.
But we never made it to the moon. I just want to let y'all know that. But anyway.
And we will be talking about conspiracy theories. So this is the first one doing it this way. And let's go. Okay. We first got to talk about my boy. I interviewed him several years ago. He was just married to a beautiful, talented lady named Mariah Carey. And actually, I think this is maybe when they split. It's funny because when I interviewed him, I thought I was going to attack her. He was like, "What are you going to ask me?" But nothing for love. I mean, listen, he has survived. Think about it. It's hard to be in this industry. I mean, he had a leg up.
Mm-hmm.
And we can talk about that on another.
Several legs up, apparently.
He had several. But I'm bummed. The sound effects. The sound effects will be
at least 12.
At least 12. Well played. So it's interesting. One of the big conversations when we talk about Nick Cannon, it's not his talent. It's not how he survived.
It's Canon.
Thrived
not his talent, but it's Canon.
It's Canon. It is the fact that he had so many babies. So many babies. So let's start there. Let's start on Nick Cannon. I don't know who should start. Maybe Brandy. Do you classify yourself as a woman? Can we say woman?
Yes, I'm a woman. We can keep it. That's where we at. I'm a woman.
God Almighty.
Okay, so how do you feel about him just spitting out so many babies by so many women?
I mean, this is my thing. There have to be participating parties, right? So there's no secret that Nick Cannon is fertile and interested in dropping his seed and allowing it to continue to spread, right? You need an incubator, I guess we'll call it. You need a place for this child to grow. And if a person, a woman, a baby making human, I guess we'll call them, I don't know, person, I don't know the C way to say it, will allow that to happen. Okay, I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to sign up to be a baby carrier. However, if people are down, who are we to judge Nick Cannon and his collection of baby carrying people?
Interesting.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think honestly, it's like if I don't have a problem with people I know several people like Nick Cannon that don't have Nick Cannon money. So those are the ones I have problems with. I used to date somebody who is, she's one of them baby making, carrying human beings.
Okay.
You know, yeah. You know, when I first dated her, she had 2 kids. Now she's got the Wu-Tang Clan.
Wow.
Including Old Dirty Bastard. But that's a whole other story.
But you made
anyway,
point. Yeah, you made a good point there. You just said, because I'm hearing that a lot, that as long as you have the money, he's good. Even Akon came out of the woodwork and talked about Nick Cannon and said, hey, he's doing the right thing.
Well, I can say like this. I just want to add to that. There's several hard-working American men, fathers, that have large families. And he works 9 to 5, maybe 2 jobs, or he works 12-hour days. And even it could be with one woman, but there's not enough time in the day once you pass a certain number of kids to spend time with them equally. So even if you're a hard-working American man in one household with one wife and, 8 kids.
Right.
A lot of my friends and cousins grew up in households like that. They didn't have time to spend, the father didn't have time to spend all the time with them. Right. But he took care of his family, so he's well respected and beloved. Right. So I think, with that being said, put that on Mr. Cannon, who definitely has enough money to take care of his children. Right. And if he can at least make the effort, just like Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy, no one talks about Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy got 10, 11 children himself. But Eddie Murphy makes the effort to spend time with his children. 5 of them is with Nicole. Right. I think he had 2 before Nicole. Mm-hmm. 1 is with Scary Spice. I don't know how that came out. That came out of left
Allegedly, he's doing better with that, and actually with that child.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And also, Eddie is known for also bringing everyone together.
Yeah. Together, he's very family oriented. Even though his family's spread out, he's very family oriented, and he keeps. And I have no problem with that, because I believe. Whereas I wouldn't have so many children with different women, but I believe I'd have more children had I had the money. I don't believe in bringing children in this world if you can't afford them. That's just unfair. That's all.
Now, the only thing with this is funny. I'm hitting at Akon, not even Nick Cannon, because I feel that Akon was very irresponsible in the way that he stuck up for Nick Cannon, because he did it in a way of thinking in terms of his ideals, his culture, and where he's at versus everyone else. And what I mean by that is, Akon has several wives.
Right.
Totally different. There's a commitment. There's an investment.
It's
different than I'm just gonna go from girlfriend to girlfriend, have a kid. Now, mind you, I don't know what's going on legally. I don't know what they agreed in. Listen, if you want to paint your leg blue and call yourself Sally when your name before is Jim, I'm not concerned. I'm not invested. So anyone in the comments, I don't care. We're just having a conversation. I'm just saying that I feel that it was irresponsible, because there are so many people that can't afford and want to spit out a whole bunch of seeds to grow to children. But also there are those that are irresponsible that can afford, and that's not it. It's not that you could just put a roof over the kid's head. It's spending the time.
I would say
raising.
I'd kind of label, and I hate to label people. I don't want to point fingers, but from what I've heard, people that I know that know the person, that's more like Future.
Interesting.
That's more like Future. He kind of fertilizes and doesn't really invest. From what I've heard, doesn't invest in the. Yeah, this is what I mean. I don't want to allegedly. That's what I heard. Yeah, I mean, we don't want to accuse anybody, but that's what I heard, allegedly. Right. I mean, here in Atlanta, I'm here in Atlanta, and I hear a lot of things.
What do you say, Brandy?
I say like what you were saying about Akon's comment being irresponsible is like agree, especially I mean the man came for recitals. Remember, I think the comment was something like leave Nick Cannon alone, like that's what he doing the right thing. Ain't no kid crying because you don't show up to their recital. And I'm just like, yeah, that's really bad. That's a really bad
that's not a good way to look at it.
And not true.
Actually they are.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's some adults to this day, I won't even mention, that are still crying over not coming to the recital or the
band
tournament
performance, theater show or whatever.
Yeah.
Even if it was like Wes was saying, even if it was the dad who just had the job and just didn't have the physical capacity to do anything outside of work and make sure the household was like supported and stable financially, that person still like is, until they probably have that, hopefully they've had that conversation with their parent as an adult and they unpacked it and they processed it and moved forward. But those things impact you even if the parents doing what they're quote unquote like physically in the home and doing what makes sense. So yeah.
So I hear you. And also they're also it's irresponsible just because Kanye, we'll talk about him soon. He's on my mind. Akon is he's American, but he's not. He's very African, right? It's just a different culture. I mean, the fact that he has different wives and they're accepting of that, it's totally different. So I thought it was just like, it would have been nice if he said, well, in my culture, or the specific path of the culture, because not everyone African has a bunch of wives either. So let's not make that a stereotype. So yeah, I just thought,
y'all business. Let Nick do what Nick's doing. Like that, I think that would have probably been an even better thing to say if we.
At the end of the day, I mean, he's not hurting anybody, you know, and he ain't breaking no rules and ain't breaking no laws. And, you know, if he does do the right thing, and that is make sure that, you know, in the event of his untimely demise, his children are well taken care of going forward. Hey, they may grow up to be great, you know, people in the society. You never know. So that's why at the end of the day, but yes, it's, of course, it's something to talk about. There's some people get a little heated about it or a little more into it than I think they should. But, you know, at least he's not, I mean, there's so many people out there that has one baby and don't do the right thing. You know, so at least let's not try to find, when I say let's, meaning like America, Black America, let's not try to find a reason to, you know, shame another brother.
Definitely
when
not.
You know, when there's plenty of brothers out there that a lot of the people, you know, give chances to. They got one or two children, even one, and don't do nothing financially or emotionally or anything like that.
Well, not to throw any shade, but I always thought it was very interesting how you don't hear anything from these women. No complaints. So as long as they ain't complaining, who am I to complain?
Trust me. It's easy to complain, too.
But
it's very easy to complain.
Mariah has expressed, well, it sure would be nice if he would spend a little time with the twins. Yeah. You know,
you can see her. I can kind of see her doing it though, because they spent time together. They shared a marriage. You know what I mean? So
it's different.
You know what I'm saying? Everyone else is like a relationship with him, whatever their relationship is with him, if it's just sexual, if it's just bearing a child. But they spent time together as family. So I can see her complaining about it a little bit if it, you know, goes awry a little. So
I have a question for y'all. So since we're talking about Nick and we're going to move on to something else and probably never talk about him again, you know, 6 degrees separation. Nick, don't be mad at me. I'm just talking. It is what it is. But I do feel some kind of way, and I got to get your feeling on it because it's called Politrixx. So here we go. Here we go, folks. Nick Cannon was kicking some science, some historical science, and then got shut down. And we haven't heard a peep. We haven't heard a peep since.
And we won't.
How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, it's like this, dude. I take anything that these celebrities do and liken it to real life. If you just have a regular 9-to-5 job, and let's just say whatever it is, even if you are spitting facts, and he was spitting facts.
He was spitting facts.
But he was spitting facts. But if you did something, for whatever reason, that offended your boss, and you're on the verge of losing your job, you're going to do what you need to do to retain your job so you can feed your family. And I believe not anybody, but most people who calls him out on that, just like they called out Kyrie for apologizing. You don't know their responsibilities. You don't know how many people they're responsible. A lot of these celebrities, these rich people, they're responsible for their whole family.
Interesting.
Their bills. You know what I mean? You know, they pay their mother, their parents' bill. They pay their whole family. And not only that, they got a team of people that work for them that they have to pay. So it's like, you can't, who are we to say, oh, you need to stand on your truth? Well, no, I've said what I said. And I'm not apologizing
He did.
for what I said.
He
No,
did.
no. He apologized. But why did he apologize? He apologized for offending people. He didn't apologize for saying that blacks are the true Hebrews. He said, I apologize. I'm not anti-Semitic, and I apologize for offending my Jewish friends, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
That's all they wanted.
It was
They take
interesting.
they take you to the Holocaust Museum, and they make you, they do the whole little thing. It's like the ritual or something.
Right.
I don't know.
You know, the thing
But
is,
anyway,
I find
that's my thing.
again, he's very clever. He's a survivor. I keep using the word a survivor because how many people in the entertainment business are as successful as Nick Cannon is?
Years. Yeah.
Whether
Just think about it. He
and
came out of nowhere, from Nickelodeon. And he came out of nowhere. And for a long time, I was sleeping on Nick Cannon. I was like, what is Nick Cannon doing? But he was handling his business.
He was handling his business.
Creating things from scratch.
And arguably, in different circles, I've heard different things of, I mean, he's not your favorite anything. And that's the best politically correct way to say it. But yet, he's a beast.
Yeah. The true old school jack of all trades, master of none. But he's still, like you said, he's not your favorite.
No, I can't, Wes, I can't let that slide. You gotta complete that whole quote. We cannot continue to push that jack of all trades, master of none partial narrative in these tweets. Okay?
Yeah, people are kind of ripping off the actual quote. They are saying it wrong. But I feel what you're saying. But thank you, Brandy, for doing that, because people need to Google the original version of that quote.
The original version of
to
it,
respect
exactly.
the gangster of that. But yeah, so it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, I felt some kind of way. Wes, you add a perspective, and this is why the show is important, because that is true. We don't know how many people he's responsible for and what was going on in his head. And there's probably a whole nother world that we are not privy to. But I guess in an age where, there's certain people like Will Smith, right? There's certain people that are out there that you want them to be your hero. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I look at Nick as a peer, but because he's at least financially so successful at what he does, I'm still looking up to him. you know, can't help but to do that, humbly speaking. And then, you know, but the thing is, it was like, oh, there's nothing I want to imitate, like, oh, you're the best musician, oh, you're the best actor, you're this. But when he's like, yo, he's got a platform and he's talking about history and religion, you're like, oh, that's who you are? That's what's up. But when you say a bunch of things and then you apologize or whatever, you kind of negate everything you said. So then it's like, what was true? What was real? What do you stand for as a human being? Because if you stand for nothing,
what? Fall for anything, right? Well, here's the deal, though. One disappointment there. It had nothing to do with what he said or apologizing. My biggest disappointment takeaway from that whole ordeal was the fact that Nick Cannon, I realized that Nick Cannon did not own the rights to Wildin' Out. I was very disappointed on that. I was like, nah, come on, Nick, you better than that. You smarter than that. Somehow in the middle, and he tried to kind of explain it, somehow he got swindled out of, you know, that. And I don't believe he got swindled, because I believe I give him way high credit. He's a very intelligent man. He did not get swindled. He got bought.
I'm just laughing because Brandy's looking at me smiling because I'm like, all I can think about is Kanye. Slavery's a choice.
He got bought.
He signed the contract. He knew,
he signed a contract that he knew he was going. Look, it's like this. Everyone, that's another thing too. You know, people, oh, we can't have nothing. Black people can't have nothing because they keep signing stuff away. They said the same thing about Bob Johnson. They said the same thing about Swiss Beats and Timberland when they sold the verses to Trilla. You know, we black people, we can't have nothing. Once again, I go back to, I get what you're saying there, but think about back in the day, MC Hammer. Look at all the people he took care of. He took care of his whole neighborhood. His entire neighborhood. And when he went broke, guess what? They all left. All the people he was responsible for, and I wouldn't recommend doing that.
Mind you, I think it's very interesting too. You got to stop putting that manifestation out there. MC Hammer was never broke.
Right. He was never broke.
Never broke.
When let's just say when the money started to dwindle. Yeah. So did the people.
Yeah, he had to. He had to sell some things and move things around.
He's a perfect example outside. I don't know. He's a perfect example. Yeah, we got pandemonium over here. No problem. He's a perfect example of what I mean by, because he was one of the first people that really kind of put it out there of how many people he's responsible for.
Right, he's the first
one. And what we don't realize, right? What we don't realize is that it's like that for almost all of these celebrities, the rich ones. They're taking care of their parents. They're taking care of their family. Right. You know, they got friends. They got people that work under them, assistants, whatever. They're responsible literally for dozens of people, you know, at one time. So if they mess up their bag, and you know, you kind of letting a lot of people down. You know what I mean? Once
yeah, that's a lot of pressure though. Like for as noble of a choice or decision, or even sometimes what people feel is like an obligation. That is, like we got to get to a point where we're not really. It's a nice to have. Like yes, I am grateful if somebody in my family comes up and they want to contribute to my life and making sure that I'm good. That's cool. But to put that type of pressure on a person to make them feel like they have to do whatever they have to do in order to keep grown adult people in, I don't know, check. It's something about, there's a mindset adjustment that I think culturally we really need to kind of unpack and
I agree. No, you're right. But some of the time, it's a responsibility that people work for it too. So if you have, what you want to do is you get these entourages. You want to keep people you trust around you.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? My cousin, you know what I'm saying? I ain't going to go pay some stranger to be security when I got my cousin over here who used to be a cop. You know what I'm saying? He's a cop. I could pay him to be my security. Or, I got this person, or this person's my assistant. I got to pay them. You know what I mean? And this person. So those are the people that earn the money. Yeah. And then you got some people that, you just kind of, some people earn the money beforehand. Like the parents.
Yeah.
But see, the parents, they already earned that money.
Yes, exactly.
By bringing you to where you are now. So you got to hit them on,
Yeah.
So,
I think we got to do business even when it's like this. Like, be really clear. Like you say, you got whatever deal you got with mom and dad. That's a whole other contract. We got to put that in writing. They good.
I used to call my mother. I used to call my mother the CEO of the CEO.
Okay.
That's funny.
I don't know. I struggle, but this is cool. I get it. I do get it. I don't want to come across here like we shouldn't be taking care, but I just think grown adults need to take some pressure off of other grown adults because life is hard already.
Life. Yeah.
And one last thing, you said something, Brandy, really profound. You said as with our culture, because it is a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing. I don't know. We as a people, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, we just take care of our own. It's just
we do.
Because we know nobody else will. So we're like, you know what? I'm gonna be that guy or that gal or that whatever you call yourself to take care of these people, my people. Yeah. Hopefully I can give them something to strive for and be. We'll see. I know that's how I am.
So, just for this to be palatable, you think I should just cut this up while we're talking into 3 sections? Or just have one long thing? What do you think?
Whatever you like to do, bro. It's your.
I think you could do both. You could literally
you driving
all of them together, like make all of them as one long episode. Or you can cut little segments up for promo.
So we'll do that. We'll do that. See, the show is forming live as we're doing this.
For your eyes.
I have Dancing Bears next week. It's happening. You're laughing, but it's happening. All right, so let's move away from Nikki. And let's talk. This has been a very interesting. Let's totally switch it.
And
let's
get off of. Let's move away from Nick's Canon.
Yes. Let's go into some political stuff, and then we'll go back to my boy. I can't help it, Mr. Ye. He's so juicy. I probably won't ever talk about him next year at all, just because.
I hope so.
It's just.
I thought I got past a couple weeks without hearing nothing about him. I was like, Jesus, thank you.
Yeah. The actual Jesus. Thank you.
Yeah, not Jesus.
So China is actually rolling back some of its restrictions as far as COVID, allegedly, having to do with allowing people to travel more smoothly, because it's been a lot of like, hey. So what does what that tells me is we're still in a pandemic. We're not in the clear. They're also talking about a couple more variants that the present vaccines can't do anything with it. It's just pointless. How do you guys feel? It's been a couple years now. We're acting like everything is yay, but we're still in a pandemic. As far as this year, what is your feeling as far as COVID is concerned?
Well, I kind of touched on this very briefly on my show, but it was more on the movie side, of course. Overseas, internationally, they're back outside, dude. They're back outside, overseas, wherever, however you want to say that they somehow contained it, controlled it, or just don't give a F no more. Whatever the case may be, they're back outside. Whereas the United States, it may seem like it is, but they're really not, because if you look at the movie numbers, you know, is a certain amount of movies through this whole year, like only 4 out of the top 10 made over $400 million. And that's you know, you see $400 million, but that's not, you know, depending on the type of movies they are, that's not a lot of money for those movies. Right. So it proves that with a selected few, Avatar being one of them, and Maverick and all that, you know, nobody, you know, we're not back outside yet. We're not even back in the movie theaters. That's not even outside. That's inside. Wow. So, yeah, I think as far as your question of how I feel about, the question was about China rolling things back, or just
that was the intro. I was trying to be professional.
Yeah, I am.
I was trying to do a segue.
I'm up in here, man. This little box. This is where I'm at. This is where I stay. I don't really be outside. Right. So I think it's interesting, and COVID's not going anywhere, unfortunately. It ain't going nowhere. It's gonna there's gonna always be, you know, I'm not a big conspiracy theorist or whatever, but I'm just more of a realist. It's just, there's always going to be a variant that's going to come out, and, you know, just so they can continue to make the vaccines. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm not pro-vaccine. I say do what you want to do. You know, what's best for you. But I think in order to, you know, as we all know, in health, period, there is no money in cures. There never was, and there never will be. The money is in treatment. Treatment is where the money is, not cures. Now, so that's my thing on it.
Now, Brandy, same question, but you're out there. Like, you're making meals for people, you're consulting people, you're cooking for people. A good portion of what you do is not virtual. So
yeah, I mean, it shifted back recently. So it was a time where a lot of it was virtual. Now it's kind of back in person. You know, I feel like the whole narrative, the challenge with COVID from the beginning was they had a really bad strategist to kind of tell them how to introduce it to the world. So you introduce COVID in a way, well, you know, obviously we know what that strategy was, just make everybody really scared and confused. And that's literally what we're still dealing with now. Everybody's still scared and confused, and they don't necessarily know what to do. But if we, look, I like to reframe COVID as like and optimize the 2020 vision kind of narrative around it, because it really got us to kind of just look at ourselves, look at life, look at the system, really kind of figure out how it is, like Wes said, what box are we going to build that's going to make sense for us. And so for me, I'm comfortable within reason being back out in the streets, right? Like, you're not going to get me at what my mom calls it at a, what does she call it? I can't even remember it, but it's a play on a super spreader, but she has some real weird name for it. But like, you gotta catch me in some event of like all these people just freely having droplets. Like, I'm, you know, I trust my immune system, but I'm also not crazy, right? I gotta make
Droplet City.
Yeah, like, I'm still functioning, but I also have insane personal protocols about how do I readjust my immune system? How do I make sure, like, I clear out things? What kind of antiviral foods, immunity building foods am I putting into my body? What type of oils am I burning into my house, and making sure that my air is clean? When I'm in groups of people, like, I deal with food a lot. I know we don't have to wear masks in kitchens no more. I don't care. I'm putting on a mask because I'm thinking about my responsibility to people as much as, you know, if I got a bunch of people coming to me, I don't know where y'all been. I do the math, right? We got one person that's been with 4 people. Those 4 people have been with 8 people. Those 8 people have been with 2. Like, we start mathing. It's too much access. So for me, like, the world is open, but I also think it's just an opportunity for us to figure out, like, how do we, like, want to live in it, and what kind of makes sense for us? If you're out in these streets all day, get yourself a protocol to make sure that you're good. If you're sitting in a house, you might not need to be as aggressive. But, you know, that's my 2 cents as far as how we reframe, manage, get back into the streets with COVID.
No, you. One thing I want to add to that is you said something that made me think about it. Me and my daughter, my oldest daughter, we used to laugh about this too. We like, yo, COVID just opened our eyes to how nasty people are.
People so dirty. We have a whole campaign about washing your hands in the ABCs. Like, really?
I said that's all it did. It just made us all look back at everything, and now it just opened our eyes to how nasty people are sometimes. You're like, yo.
I remember when it first started, and my mom, we were talking, and she goes, Brandy, I don't know why everybody's out here buying Lysol. Like, don't people already got Lysol in the house? Like, she was more confused by the fact that people just didn't already have Lysol in the house.
That's funny.
I was like, my people are dirty.
Well, all I gotta say is ladies and gentlemen, continue to wash your hands. Continue.
Yes.
Just continue. It's a good thing. It's not a pandemic.
It's so bad you have to say that.
It's a lifestyle thing. Oh my god! I spoke to somebody the other day, like, I got over COVID yesterday. Can you move away, sir? Excuse me, sir.
And I don't even have a mask on, right?
Excuse me, sir.
I got over COVID yesterday without a mask.
He probably didn't even get over COVID. He probably just passed the 5 days that they say that you're not contagious no
Today
more.
I'm not
they just
sweating.
changed.
Right.
Now it's down to like 3 days or something. Like, who's in charge of that?
Excuse me, sir.
The people that want you to go back to work, they just literally making this stuff up as they go along. Have your own protocols, people. These people are making stuff up. Yes.
The thing that gets me, I'm tested. I tested. I'm good now. I was sweating and coughing yesterday, but I'm good today. So now I'm gonna be all over you. No.
Yo, no, you're not.
No.
Back up, bro.
Please, 6 to 10 feet. Thank you.
Back up. And we were laughing at Michael Jackson when he was walking around with masks on years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jackson's like, get your nasty ass away from me.
So, I don't know. But you know what? No more conversations about this is fake. Remember that? For a good year, people like, oh, this is not real. COVID's not real. It's all
not real.
It's not real. That's right. I can see if you're like, okay, you don't believe in how they're presenting it. You don't believe how it started. There's something behind it. Yes, but it is as real as it possibly.
Bro. Mm-hmm. People died, man. It's remember the pastor that said this is not real. This is the devil trying to spread this, blah, blah. And he died, the pastor.
A couple of celebrities
man,
too.
COVID.
A couple of celebrities that I didn't know their political views, and their political views were pretty out there, and they definitely took a side, and they definitely died. It is what it is.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
But I still wear my mask, bro. Down here in Atlanta. It's funny. Atlanta is split. You know, Atlanta, Georgia is split. You got where the black folks are, which is pretty much Atlanta. Then you got the outskirts where white folks are. When you go to the sides where the black folks are, you still see people with masks. They still got masks on in stores. You walk in without your mask, they're like. But now on the white side, where it's more white folks, you walk in with your mask and they're like. So like, it's just like I wear my mask on my show every time. I'm like, wear your mask, be responsible. It's not just your protection, it's for other people. Be responsible. You know, there's cats I know for a fact. I won't put them on blast. Would never do that. But I know cats personally that's like got COVID. It's like, I'm going to run out to Publix, run out to Walgreens. What? You got COVID, bro? Where you going? You know what I'm saying? Like,
but you know, people were doing this behavior before. They were going out with the flu, going out sick. They don't want to call off work, and I get it.
Yeah,
but then you're risking...
Oh, I was like that with the flu. Yeah, I was like, with the flu, I wasn't like that. But I mean, as far as people, I used to run into people when I worked in offices. They'd be over there, and I'm just like...
And these are the same people.
I'm like spraying them with Lysol.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you, bud. Get out of here. Spray their face with Lysol.
And none of your jobs are life-saving. You don't need to go to work. It's not that serious. Like,
You die before your obituary is out. The wanted ads is out. So just remember that.
Remember.
So COVID is here. I don't want to say the whole here to stay, but based on behavior,
it is.
It's
here to stay. Now the intensity of it may shift over time,
right.
But I think COVID will be. We got at least 10 years.
Well, if everybody wore a mask, if everybody washed their hands, if the behavior was more on point, it would go down extremely, right? Would that be?
We're talking about humans, though. We meet these people before. Like, we're talking about humans. When they ever follow rules and work in sync.
And we talk about America. We talk about Americans.
Right.
They're not following that. You know what I'm saying? So, obviously, if you're like over in North Korea and they're like, look, you cough, you getting a bullet. Okay. I'm going to wear my mask.
You're holding that in. What's wrong? Nothing?
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on for the battle. The battle of feminism. It seems that interesting people like Candace Owens have been going in lately. Some things I'm like, and something I'm like, which we should probably do another show just on. Let me write notes. We need to do a whole thing just on Candace Owens.
But do we really need to do it?
She needs her own.
I'm calling in sick. I'm calling out sick for that episode ahead of time.
But it just seems that like there's so many things on feminism, and my understanding of feminism is equality and women having opportunities and being treated as men and having opportunity as men, and basically just being equal. But it seems that feminism has become something else, and where I kind of agree with her, or like her little points.
Okay, so wait, you can't say that you agree with Candace Owens without giving us a real context. So tell me what you agree with.
Let me say, because I have all the things that are wrong is like, we get it, the whole conservative agenda, and she wants to just make everybody feel something and be the black voice that those that don't like black people feel comfortable in hearing. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. But masculinity,
I just thought you wanted to be the female version of Uncle Ruckus, but that.
Yeah. I do feel that.
I like Uncle too much to get
Oh, wow. I mean, masculinity, it's interesting because it does seem like masculinity is being redefined, but I always thought that masculinity was distorted anyway. You know, masculinity was perceived as, hear me roar, shut up woman, I'm a man, which I never looked at that as masculinity. I thought that was always ignorant. So it seems that, like, you know, this attack where you can't do anything that seems to be what the guys do or male, all of a sudden toxic masculinity has become masculinity itself. Does that make sense? I hope so.
I struggle with this as a person who is really in. Well, first off, I identify as a woman, so feminism would kind of be like my thing. Mm-hmm. But also as a person who is really like steeped in evolutionary psychology, right? Mm-hmm. And understanding just the physicality, right? With the physicality of man versus woman. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about the intellect. I think women can put have this be on the same level intellectually as men, depending on whatever their experience, whatever their IQ is, what have you. I think that if you work a job like, I don't know, an engineer, a grave digger, I'm just throwing out random. If it's the same job, y'all, man and woman, same price. That is hands down, no argument there, right?
No argument.
Now, we get into sports, we get into physicality, and we also got to think about this from a business perspective, right? Especially, let's take two franchises neck to neck, the WNBA matched up against the NBA. If you pay one woman the salary of if you take one woman, paid them the salary of one of the lowest paying guys in the NBA, it's a wrap. That whole budget is gone. That franchise is having enough money to compete with the salaries that had not with the WNBA. So we coming here talking about women should be paid the same amount of money as men, because they play basketball, they playing basketball too. Let's be honest. No one's going to see the WNBA play. Number one. Number two, they don't have enough money to sustain that payroll. So, okay, in your feelings, this may feel like, oh yeah, we should make this happen, but we still have to ground it in something that makes business sense. And I think that's the piece. These are the pieces of the conversation that we're not having when we're talking about equality in certain things. And I think that
I agree.
We have to have that combo.
Brandy,
I agree.
There's so many things you're bringing up, and I think it is super important. But then there's a part of my brain, and even though this is great, and I like it because there's so many things we could talk about with sports, but I just think it's kind of funny how we could argue about someone making $1 million versus 80 million playing a sport, but we don't argue how much teachers make. We don't.
We don't, but at the same time, I hear this argument too, and I try to, I get it. My heart says I get it, but my business mind says, yet again, we got to go back to the books. We got to go back to, there's a small percentage of people that's great enough to be able to be an elite athlete, right? So the percentage of how much money we have to go out is different than the amount of people that can train and study to become teachers, and the amount of teachers that we have to literally fund in order to make sure that all of the kids get a proper education. It's just a mathematical challenge, and we have to think about it from a business perspective as well.
No, I agree. The one lady that was supposed to be on the show, she said something very interesting because she did weight training, she did dance for years as well as sports, and she said, no, I would be totally offended if they had a guy competing against me. Because physically, we are not the same. There's certain things that biological males can do that biological women, it's not the same. And that's okay. We could respect our differences, and you're not taking an L by saying you can do, I don't know, but
no, exactly. Yeah, I agree. I mean,
also,
she should be offended if a male competes against her.
Also,
if I have to be able to win, the worst male is gonna the worst male in whatever category is probably gonna come close, if not exceeding, the best woman. It is a physical. That's just how we're built, people. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. If I have daughters and they're into wrestling, and some dude says, I'm
a woman now,
and I will be beating his butt. I'd be like, no, you will not wrestle my daughters, and I'll leave it at that. And I'm a feminist.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's that whole thing is crazy, but I agree with that person that said that, and that's why, when it comes to politics, I don't really like politics. I'm a Republican. That's what I am, because I agree some things on one end, and I agree with some things on other end. So I'm a Republican. But in short, don't think just because I put the R word first that's what I lean more towards them.
But do you feel that
I just sound better?
Do you feel that masculinity is under attack? Do you think so?
Yo, I do. I think it's been that way, and I think it's under attack on a lot of different levels, and I think it's now what's happening is corporate America, Hollywood, they're all finding a way to profit from it. So they're pushing it even more, you know. So now it's just like, make sure you this, that, and make sure we do this, that. And because they're trying to find, they think they found a way to capitalize on it. So like, okay, let's push it harder and harder and harder.
Yes, until it all comes down to money. It all comes down to people being scared that they're going to lose bags, they're going to lose audiences, they're going to lose things. It is the topic that is hot right now, and everybody's faking outrage about it. Everybody's offended for no reason about anything that goes against the current narrative. And people are like, oh, let's make sure that we don't lose customers. Let's address it. That's literally all this comes down to.
So let's take Aunt Jemima off of the. Let's take off Aunt Jemima.
Take off the box.
The best skit in SNL was with the Aunt Jemima with Dave Chappelle wrote. But Aunt Jemima and all of them got fired, and they're like, why are you firing me? It's nothing that you did. It's how we feel. That's what the white people would say to him. It's how you make us feel, because of what we did.
It's sad because, was it a month or two off of the trial of George Floyd, the first thing that we were given as a community was taking Aunt Jemima off the box. And I just feel like
we got to do something to calm these people down.
Really? Listen, in some way, that's representation. We saw a black woman on the box. Now, mind you, it was dressed up as a mammy, a slave, right, she was black, and she was on the box.
And she's missed now.
She's actually missed. Now we don't. Now we
people I'm looking at this Sarah Blake.
What's up? Where's she at? Yeah, it feel like right, guys. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. The challenge. I mean, we going all the way left. Probably where I'm going with this. But the challenge.
I hope you're gonna say the challenge wasn't when Aunt Jemima had a perm. Remember, she had a perm for a second.
That was the worst. Yeah, that was the challenge. I wasn't even thinking that.
If you don't know that, if you don't remember that, not only you're too young,
they took
but
off
you're
the
not
head wrap
black.
and gave her like a little curl. Like, why? No one cares. But the challenge with us accepting things like Aunt Jemima being taken off the box, I don't know, Uncle Ben having on a suit instead of a slave costume, whatever they had him on before. It's like, you let people know that we're okay accepting this as our repayment for building a country. This is not, don't give us these little symbolic trinkets. You better get up on this reparation process. Like,
that's what I called it. That's what I called it. It was rice-perations. Rice-perations.
Wow.
Rice-perations.
It's right up there with here's a couple toys, balls, paddles, and some blankets to Native Americans. They're like, hey, give us 80 acres of your land, and here's some toys, and here's some blankets with chicken pox.
Yeah.
Anyway,
ridiculous.
To my Native Americans,
click. Now take that and like it. Click.
click.
Here's another toy that you don't have that we have.
So this is my evil transition. So speaking of feminism and trinkets, brings us to Tory Lanez. And the reason why this is an interesting segue, because I remember when in television shows like Happy Days and movies and stuff, you still had this thing of the bad boy. And you had bad girls that always liked bad boys, but for the most part, no. Right? And hip
I thought
hop.
the saying was good girls love bad boys, right?
Yeah, but a few, but they, a few. But for the most part, it was this thing of like, here's bad guys, and then whatever. And then hip hop really played a role in, the whole gangster and the thug and the, just taking responsibility as a community, right? It glorified it to the point where the good guy wasn't even, I think one of the turning points was around the Kid and Play era, right? Where you had the B-boys, you had the bad guys, like kind of the homeboys, because they was home. That's why it's called homeboys. They knew how to go home. You know what I'm saying? They took care of home. And then it just shifted, to the point where love it with all my heart, MC Light. But when you had to do Gotta Get a Roughneck, everything changed.
Yeah, when she kind of like kind of catches that smoke a little bit.
Yeah,
she got to hold that triple O ball D under the hood.
Right. But now we have kids of those people in that era that are doing foolishness, which is the segue of Tory Lanez, where it should never, I don't know what he did or didn't do, but it shouldn't even be a conversation that you allegedly coulda, woulda shot a black young lady. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't even be
that
a thing.
I'm a speak on that, but I hope we could use that to segue to the fact that it seems to be we talk about feminism and masculine, and it seems to be the end thing now that these especially black men are attacking these women.
Right.
Attacking not just our women, just women, period. Like, why is that so cool now? I know everyone say, yeah, that's right, woman. You put a hands on a man, he gonna put it back on you. I get, people say that, people started saying that, and that kind of started off where it's like, it's like all these men just attacking these women for no reason. So with Tory Lanez, you got a lot of people out there defending him, mostly men. That are, except for the few pick-me women. But other than that, you got some men, a lot of men that are defending him or whatever. Maybe because you know him, maybe because you care about him, you like him, whatever. But even people like Drake, just out of nowhere puts goes after Megan Thee Stallion in one of his songs. Like, bro, what do you have to do with this? You know what I'm saying? Like, you have nothing to do with this
Wes,
whatsoever.
Isn't that a twisted thing about this whole attack on masculinity, where it's interesting, right? If you go old school, and yes, there are men that took advantage of the patriarchy. There are men that were taught the wrong way to treat women. But there was this whole chivalry, certain things you just don't do because you're a man. Now, mind you, don't like sex roles, right? But there's certain things you just don't do. You don't put your hand on a woman. You just don't do it. If she slaps you, you have the right to slap her back because she's like, but as a man, you just don't do it because you're bigger, you're stronger, and that's your sex role. But we don't like sex roles.
That's why
I'm saying? Now it's like, the good is, wait a minute.
Yeah, like I always like to tell people, like, this whole thing, we're messing up the ecosystem, right? Everybody's confused. We're messing up women, guys, be a chick, it's cool. Like, it actually has benefits.
It has benefits. It does.
That
it's like being a man does.
Yeah, right, exactly. So it's like you let's ask the question. It's like, when do men start attacking women? Not that I'm okay.
But it just become cool.
They confused because they keep hearing this message, and it's like, oh, we equal. There's no, there's no boundaries now. Women are telling men these types of things. They're hearing it all in the news. It's and we messing up the ecosystem, and that's the challenge. And
Yeah, you're right. I mean, when I hear these people, I hear a lot of them out there that have platforms. Joe Budden, big platform. DJ Academics, big platforms. And they are just attacking women left and right. And it's just like, why, dude? Why? You know what I mean? Like, and she may have the answer because maybe they confused too. Maybe they are confused. Not just being confused, but like she said, the women are helping to confuse them. By you want it this way at one time, then you want it this way when that way backfires on you. So
it's like that frustration. People are just it's like people in cages. Like I'm just thinking about this fucking animal like in a cage, and you gave them meat at them one day, you giving them carrots the other. They don't know where to go, and then they just wild out. And I mean,
I have to say, when I was a younger, a little more ignorant, I never put heads on a woman. Didn't mean I didn't incite violence against them if they did something to me.
Oh, Wes.
I had what you call female goons on payroll. So I remember way back in high school, one of my best friends, who's still my best friend to this day, she was my rider. I'll call her my rider. We would just refer to her as my rider.
Right.
And I remember this young lady. We got into some sort of argument, and this young lady found it, for some reason, thought it was okay to spit on me. And it took every fabric of my body not to just knee-jerk reaction to her. But instead of giving her the old I just picked up the phone and called my rider. and the very next day, and I told her, I said, "Oh, you getting slapped tomorrow, not by me." The very next day, she came out there. I paid for her cab fare. She took Artie's taxi from Brentwood to Deer Park.
Artie's. Wow.
And I paid her cab fare, and we met up again. And I saw the same girl, and she was there with 3 other girls. And I said, "Yo, let's smack this chick for me," right in front of her. And she went up and pop. Then looked at the other 3 like, "What?" And they was like, "She did it."
Wow.
And I said, "Yeah." I told you to get smacked.
I just ain't smacking you.
That's because Wes understood the code. There was a code, right?
There was a code. I wasn't smacking.
Right? He was like, "I'll get you back. It ain't gonna be me."
But it ain't gonna be me, because it's just I wasn't gonna do that. My mother taught me better to smack a woman, but that don't mean I didn't incite violence against women if they deserved it.
So
that's a whole nother
So I'd like to say, for all the kiddies out there, Wes understood the assignment of being a man. He didn't understand the excitement of forgiveness and turning others. But that's another conversation.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
the whole turn the other cheek thing. I missed that lesson in Sunday school.
Oh man.
I missed that lesson in Sunday school.
But you didn't knock her out, which that's hard. That's hard, especially when spit in your face.
I could have really said to her, "Knock her out," and she would have.
Wow.
But I
mean, just the fact you stopped yourself from.
Yeah.
Because that's
and that right there is something that even my mother would have said. Well, anybody spit on you, you lay their ass out. Yeah, I don't care, male or female. I don't care who it is. And my mother used to always say that to me, but I didn't do that.
Now, mind you, folks, that's a church lady we talk about.
That was a church woman. Yes, she was. She but she didn't play with her family, so. Yeah. And she's like, that's the worst thing you could do to anybody. It's the most disrespectful thing you could ever do to anyone is to put your droplets, your saliva,
it's like,
intentionally on a person. That's disgusting. And she barely hit me. She didn't like spit in my face or nothing, but still, it doesn't matter. You spit at me. That's just that's grounds of like I said.
We call a violation. Okay, that's
a violation.
That's a violation.
Yeah. she lucky I didn't order her, a hit.
Wow. So now, yeah. So where do we leave this with the present state? We should probably have like a conference, like an international conference with a bunch of black people. Like, where are we with the state of masculinity right now?
It's bad, man. It's bad. It's bad on every level, and it's on both parties,
right?
Both genders, and all the ones in between, whatever they may be.
Right.
Everyone, the masculinity thing. If you want to, and I mean, like I said, I'm not with the whole over masculinity thing. You know what I mean? It's like, it's funny how much we got away with back in the day. Think about how long we referred to a tank top as a wife beater.
Like it was okay. Like that's
the actual term.
You didn't even think about it.
Now you say, yo, I'm gonna go buy me a beater. You give me a wife beater. Yeah. I mean, I still call them that, to be honest with you. It's just old habits die hard.
Right.
But, just the fact that I used to call them, I never knew what it meant, back when I used to, because I thought that was their names,
It's interesting, too, right? There are more women CEOs now than ever, more female multimillionaires. You would think that things are moving in the right direction. You could argue if they're better, best. That's a whole nother thing. But you see things moving in a direction. But masculinity is being more attacked than ever. Mm-hmm. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't really make sense.
I think femininity is as well. I think they're both under attack.
They're both under attack.
They're both under attack. Wow. Yeah. Most people who exude it are ashamed for it now. It's not even cool to be a woman anymore. Meaning, and that has nothing to do with what people. I'm just saying, if you're a woman, you identify as a woman. Mm-hmm. You got some that's always identified as a woman, mm-hmm. and they almost feel ashamed to act like a woman because they don't want to be attacked.
We created a really crappy, I'll go back to my word, ecosystem for us all to comfortably exist in, okay? It's just too...
Yeah, and I got to give a shout out to women because you guys do have it rough, because growing up, you have to battle being a sexual object versus being a young lady. That in itself can be very confusing and mix messages. And then you got men that really like you but are confused because you got influences and telling them, no, you're supposed to treat her like an object. She's an object. She's something to own to make you look good. That's something that you have to have control over. And then you got those, no, you love and appreciate and treat her like a lady, blah, blah. It's very, very confusing. Very, very confusing. Like, I don't know. To all those out there that are like 15, 16, even in the early 20s, but 15, 16, 12, oh my goodness, you poor human beings. You poor little people.
But are they, though? Because think about it. When you think about how we end up with our thoughts, it's based off of the stories that we were told during our lifetime when we were growing up, right? So some of the kids that we're talking about, they're growing up in this time and space where we're kind of redefining things, and that's why everything's a little messy. No one knows what femininity is. No one knows what masculinity is. No one knows what any of this stuff is. We don't know what women are, men are. Everything's just up in the air right now, right? And so there's an opportunity for them to shape, or the people around them to help them to kind of shape what that definition is. So it actually could be more of an opportunity because the generations before kind of came in with the definition kind of already told to them. This is what it is. And then through life, they had to figure out like, oh, this isn't necessarily what it is. Let me redefine this for myself. So that, it may be Yeah, it might not
That's
be
my generation. Generation X.
Yeah, it's like
Generation X.
figure out what this is. You know, because they're also the result. I mean, I think we're here in a society because we got I could call it the participation award generation now raising kids, right? And those are the kids that, you know, just because you showed up, you got an award.
Get a participation trophy.
Get a trophy. That don't make no sense. Okay, you can get first, second, third. That's it.
Remember, well, there's two things. One, I like to say there's a problem with that because the very young want to redefine everything. This is no longer an apple. We call this a June bug. No, it's an apple. No, you call it a June bug. No, we call it a June bug. You're not hip. You're just...
It's a June bug.
You're just lost. What?
We don't bite them, we consume them.
Yeah.
Like, what?
You're a caveman.
It's a guy Don
You're toxic.
apple.
Oh, yeah.
You're toxic.
Yeah.
You know how I know it's an apple?
So it's,
Yeah.
you know.
We need a framework for you can define your experiences and how you live
There
your
you
life.
go.
You can't define things that that already have a definition. We can't you can't go like you say making apple June bugs like they're apples. Like that's what they are. We want to call it a red delicious versus peachy. We can do that.
Here's the secret. Here's the secret. That's how we interact with each other and communicate. Because we have standards, and you can't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't help you to change everything. No, I'm a pony today. No, you're not a pony. You're not.
And guess what? If you are a pony,
in your mind,
you have to give me in your mind. If you're a pony,
and I'll call you one.
Mind,
but you're not
right. But you can show up. You can say that you are a pony, but I also have the opportunity not to acknowledge you as a pony. I also will never walk into the room without you communicating to me that today you are a pony. I won't know that until you tell me that. So please don't expect me to know that. And I think we have this expectation that because we decided to do something and everybody else got the memo. We get the memo.
I'm going to say it not as nice as Brandy. Hold on. Sorry, Paul.
Okay. Go ahead.
Listen, I will play your game. Because life is a game. I will call you, but you got to communicate with me ahead of time. Send me a text. Because I don't know what game you're playing until you communicate that. And when I walk away from you, it's like, yeah, I was talking to Sarah. She's a pony. That's what she does. And see this? It's a June bug.
It's tough. It's a June bug. I'm a June bug.
But if I go somewhere else and I call it an apple, don't be offended. If I put it on my stories on social media, don't be offended. Because I call it an apple. And that's the game that I've been playing since I was 4.
Since birth. Yeah, but it's the thing. I'll be honest with you, y'all both a little better than me, man. I'm just like, look, can we find something common that I could call you? How about I just call you whatever your name is?
That's easy.
Because I can't, because I don't want to commit to something that I'm gonna probably default on. I'm sorry, or something that I'm going to, renege. Not on purpose. But if someone sits there and says, I need these are my pronouns and this is, I'm like, look, I failed English, so I don't know about pronouns and all.
I just learned what a pronoun was last month.
Yeah, I mean,
education system is bad.
Yeah, it's but here's the funny thing. All right, cool. You consider yourself a human? Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm gonna call you then. I'm gonna call you a human.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I love you.
That's what I was saying, because if you don't want to be, I don't want to purposely offend you. So how about I just address you by your name? And that's that. And now if you have a name, you want to pull a Prince and have your name's a symbol, then give me some flashcards or something to use. Like whatever the case may be. I don't want to commit to the other stuff, you know, and then I slip up and you looking at me like, dude, I told you, you know, and it's like,
and you know what?
My bad.
And you know what? It's all love. I really feel like going into 2023 and beyond, it really is all love. I mean, there are people that are stuck in whatever, and listen, I think most people at this point in existence are willing to play any game we can where we could love each other and let people do what they want to do. Then again, also I think because we're all in very diverse populations, you know, I have to say that maybe we view things differently too. You know, I think there's more love and understanding. Like, hey, what's up? You're my neighbor. Cool. Kiss, kiss, love, love, everybody. Bang. But there are parts of the planet where, you know, they're looking at me like, I didn't know there was black people. I thought it was just on television. I didn't know. You know, so I'm sure that we won't be, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. And I mean, like, talking to the people who, you know, from wherever they're from and they don't necessarily understand it, I just always say, listen, just give us all some grace. Like, you guys, that's in the Bible, right? Like, just give us some grace. If we all just, you don't have to understand, you don't have to know, you don't have to get it. Just provide everybody with some grace. We'll figure it out.
It's more simple than what people think. Sometimes the very, very inklet of common ground can really spark a friendship. You don't even know.
Right.
You know, whether it's, oh man, you know, you were in the military? I was in the military. Oh wow. Mm-hmm. You have something in common. Yeah. It could be sports.
Wait a minute.
It could be a sport team.
Wait a minute.
Like,
you had diapers?
Yeah. Exactly. Find something. I was in diapers too. You know? So I mean, here's the thing, like, I walk around with my Minnesota Vikings hat on. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter where I'm at. A Vikings fan, white, black, whatever, is going to be like, Skull, what up, man?
Right.
You know, there's your common ground.
And you know what? I want to turn the lens around for the, you shouldn't. Let people be who they are. Does it really affect your life? Does it really? Let them play whatever game they want to play, whatever. I mean, does it really, like, just let it go. Let it go. You're not going to change nobody. You can't control them. And why would you want to? See about yourself.
Exactly. Work on yourself. We all have, and I don't care, it has nothing to do with money. You could be rich, poor, whatever. We have such a job just working on ourselves. Because I'm
exhausted.
Right. Exactly. Every day you have to grow. Every day we grow. Every day we grow, man. And it's like, and if you don't, you got work to do.
So last topic.
Yep.
You know this is gonna squeeze into next year. You know it is. Kanye.
My friend, I like Kanye.
You know what? There's half of me is like, bruh. Like, I really would like to it's so interesting. I would love to hang out with him and just talk about certain things. I'm just so curious. Like, how much of this is real and how much of this is just to make more money and working the press. I'm so curious. But then sometimes, regardless how real or fake or whatever it is, or medical, we don't know. I don't know what's going on there, right? But some of it is like, bruh, that was so irresponsible. Shut up. Like, slavery is a choice. Bruh, really?
Right. Yeah, you can't say it like that. Like, that's the challenge of Kanye. Like, he says things that if you are a thinking person and you want to unpack it, you can be like, oh, I get what he kind of meant by that, but he shouldn't have said it like that. But you can't say things like that because they don't land. They don't land right.
They don't land.
And you sound crazy.
Yeah, I kind of checked out on him years ago, probably.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, it's whatever. Yeah, he's something. That's all I can say about that. Yeah, I don't really rock with him. Something came across my timeline. I don't know how true it is or if I read it wrong. Something about him dressing as Santa Claus and telling people Christmas is fake. I saw something like that. I was like, yo, wait a minute. Did this dude just dress like Santa Claus so he can get kids on his lap and tell them Christmas is fake? Yo, you have to be. You got to be a special type of.
That's
evil.
Terrible. That is evil.
Or genius, whatever you want to call it. You're a special type of one of the two. Just to be like, you know what? Today I'm gonna go out, dress as Black Santa, and tell kids this
ain't real at all.
Christmas ain't real at all.
I put that in my notes.
Is that what you felt like you wanted to do? I swear, I read that across one of my timelines. I usually don't click on his stuff no more. But I saw something like that, and I'm like, is this true? I said, wow. Like, why not, like, he's like, why not dress like the Grinch and say that, Right. Why dress like Santa? Only he would dress like Black Santa.
Yeah, if this is true, I mean, it's sad that we actually believe it could possibly be real, because
that's the bad part. We're always like, it sounds like he could have done that. Wow.
Do you think the best is yet to come from him, or he had his peak and it's all going down from him?
He's done.
He's done. Listen, this man has put out some great work. We're not going to act like the stuff that he put out some stuff that was trash too, but he put out some great things, and I think we just ride that.
Yeah, I think his. I'm going the other way with it. I think he lost a lot of his creative mojo as far as musically. I didn't follow his fashion stuff, so. Okay. But musically, I think he lost his creative mojo. I don't know if that's connected to his mother or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Because it's even to the point where he, is not even creating the music. He's paying people to create the music for him. Right. So if you're doing that, you've lost your creative mojo. Of course, you can jump back and do it because you are a creative soul, but you have no interest in it no more, obviously, if you're not going to use it. As much as you've gone through, you should be creating better music than what you're creating, in my opinion. Yes. So I'm just like,
but also,
I think that's it for him. Now, as far as his other stuff, I don't know. I really didn't follow his fashion and stuff like that, and I follow his music up to a point, and then he changed his sound and his everything, and it no longer interests me. So,
well, I mean,
I think that's
to be fair. In his genius, I mean, he basically borrowed other people's genius, to be genius.
Including the word genius.
Right. Because, I mean, all his biggest hits are all samples of hits. So there's only but so far you could fall if you're already standing on something that's already sonically successful.
And I know you used the word genius, but I'd love to ask you this, because I know you are very critical, especially when it comes to music.
Right. Can't help it.
Do you honestly consider him a genius?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Because you would.
I'm just saying.
Because you would have to take. If you could take nothingness and make music and be like, wow. Right. Because look at the biggest hits. They were nothing. Someone came up with it, and they were huge. So, doing like a Puffy.
Then they got sampled and redone.
to be hits again. So it's like Puffy, I mean, from, was it 92 to 96, or whatever it is, somewhere around there. It was just all these songs that were already, he literally just sampled the first 4 bars of hundreds of songs and made hundreds of hits. That doesn't take a genius. He's clever.
Yeah. It doesn't mean you're not smart. Doesn't mean you're not clever. Doesn't mean you're not, smart.
Creative, gifted, talented. Yeah. I mean, for me, Kanye, it was the timing that he kind of, when he introduced him, like when he became who he, out of like the ghostwriting phase, and he became like the front artist. The thing that made Kanye cool, and I think that he gets so much notoriety for, is that we were in the auto-tunes phase when Kanye came on the scene. People were not using instruments anymore. People were just like auto-tuning everything, so just synthesizing. And I think the kind of the rollback to some music that kind of used real live instrumentation and also kind of throwing that sound in to kind of shake things up. I think that's kind of what made him a little interesting for when he entered onto the scene. Right. Like that's kind of what I think made Kanye who he was. He just
what made him what made him interesting to me was, I used to produce music myself, and as a producer, I definitely respected him as a music producer for what he did. He is a sampler. He's not a musician. Let's get that straight.
Right.
He is not a musician. He's a sampler, or he's a programmer. You know what I mean? So, and he's good at that. But I think more so his grind, I respect.
Yeah.
More than anything.
For sure.
The fact that no one was looking at him, he wanted to be a rapper, but he just knew how to do music and do music sound that people liked and rappers wanted to buy, and he made that to make his money. But yet when he tried to originally say, yeah, I'm a rapper too, they were like, oh, that's cool, man. Just how much is that beat?
How much is this beat, right?
Right, exactly. So even from Jay, Jay was like, yo, just make beats, bro. Right. And so that's what it is. I very, very on a real lower level, I experienced that myself when I first did. You remember, Seb? I was doing Block TV.
Right.
When I first started Block TV, before I did that, one of the originators of the DVD magazine, model was Craze Billings from Long Island, and he had an all access DVD, and I used to edit for him. And when I started doing my own thing, I remember him kind of doing that same thing that Jay did to Kanye. He kind of was like, yo, man, you should just edit. You shouldn't do this.
Right.
You see all that competition. He tried to deter me. So that's where I respected Kanye.
Right.
So,
yeah, what was that first album that he did where he put the last song with College Dropout with that story in the end?
So those three, for me, to be in a hip hop person, those first three albums are classic albums.
That's it. Hands down.
College Dropout, Late Registration, and
you know what?
Graduation.
To be totally fair and no kind of emotion towards it, I would say that Kanye was a breath of fresh air based on, if you look at who was out at the time, I think that he won just on being different. And that was important. And actually, that's kind of like the root of hip hop. I mean, if you go back, you had to sound different. You had to be different. And he came out at a time where it was like Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
And we're still in that now.
Yeah.
I can't tell
we're way into that now. Now that is definitely it. But back when he came out, like you said, it was a little phase of that, and then he brought that differentness back in, But that era, for the most part, was different. That's how you were a hit.
You can't bring up
now
Kanye.
You're a hit because you sound like the same person.
Same thing.
Before you used to be a hit because you sounded different.
Right. This is true too.
See how that works?
This is true too. So we can't talk about Kanye without bringing up the Kardashian. Interesting that they finalized the divorce, and Kanye was to pay $200,000 a month in child support. How do you guys feel about that? The fact that she's so financially wealthy, he's financially wealthy. It's nothing to him, $200,000 a month, but at the same time, it's just a weird number.
Well, I say I said this once before. I think he actually got off easy, and I'll tell you why. Because they live in California. In the state of California, if you have more than 3 kids, by law, you're obligated to give 50% of your gross earnings if you have more than 3 children.
Oh wow!
They take child support takes 50% if it's more than 3 children. Oh. So he actually got off easy. He got off good.
Wow.
She just said, you know what? Pay this for the kids. And what he really should do, what I would do if I had his kind of money, I'd round it all up, add it all up, and just pay it. There you go. It was like $54 million or something like that. It comes out to between like all the children, the 200 million up to the like 18 or 21. Add it up, bang, here you go. $54 million. That takes care of the children.
Wow.
Good night.
Good night.
You know what I'm saying? Do it now before something happened and you can't pay it down the line.
I would be probably hit up immediately. Well, how come we didn't talk about all the money he lost for saying DEFCON 1 on a particular group of people?
He still got the money, though. He still got money.
He still has,
money. And the funny thing is, he didn't lose physical money. He lost bags. He lost potential money.
Right.
He didn't have $1 billion in his bank account.
Right.
He didn't.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, you lost opportunity. So you learn from it. You keep it moving. But that whole thing. The problem is, why he always says he's humbled by it, and he compares himself to, whoever the hell he is, Martin Luther King, all these people, Jesus and everybody else that's been persecuted. Bruh, you lost jobs. Like, you didn't lose, you know what I'm saying? Martin Luther King is dead. You know what I'm saying? He lost his life fighting for what was right. But because you lost a title, because your money, you lost, Forbes took the title away from you. Forbes giveth and Forbes taketh away. And now he feels like he can compare himself to all of these actual people that actually suffered. But with that being said, it's just like, man, hey, you live and you learn from it. Get your own ish. Sway did have the answers. Sway had the answers.
He did.
He told you to get your own ish. He told you that.
As we
you didn't listen.
As we round this out, what would be something that you would like to see put to rest this year and not go into next year? Could be answer it any way you feels fit to answer that.
Man, it's too much to say, but to round it all up, I would just say, I don't know, man. I would like to this would never happen, but I'm going to say it anyway. I would like the internet to be used how it was supposed to be used. That's what I think.
Wow.
We originally were supposed to use it to learn, to explore, and also to, of course, grow, advance, right? That's never going to happen, but that's what I would like to see. Put all of this everything else in between is just trash, garbage. I want that put to rest. That's what I want. Man.
What do you think, Brandy?
Peace on earth.
What do you think, Brandy?
I would say I would like to end the social media viral display of people eating lots of seafood with their family. Like, that is, I don't want to see you suck crab legs.
Mukbangs. The cancel culture. I always got to throw that in there.
Oh, yes.
Cancel. Come on now.
Come on, because it's a joke. It doesn't make no sense. It's a joke. Yes, I love it. Cancel culture.
Yeah, and all of you people out there, including Kanye or anybody else, especially celebrities, there's 3 words you should live by. Don't press send. Live by those words, and you will live a nice life in the world of social media. Don't press send. Why is that so hard?
I'm so over social media, but I know it could be used for good. Hey, yo. Cat. Hey, you know, do that. I don't know. It's hard because I want to say the ending of police brutality. I just wish it would magically just end. But I'm hard pressed to say also gun violence to just stop. It's just ridiculous. At this point in human evolution, what are we doing? You know? I almost wish like, it's like, you ever see the Badlands? You saw the Badlands? Yeah, so like there's no guns. Like it's just learn to take a hit. If you want to be so bad, then learn how to fight. But no more guns.
I agree with that. But unfortunately, they're trying to take it back to the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
You know, and I shot that man because he called me a cheater. Like, yo.
You're like, what?
Telling right? Telling the sheriff he called me a cheater, so I shot him.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Only thing worse than that,
playing spades.
which was a true story. This I forget which famous outlaw shot someone just because the guy was snoring and it was annoying. True story. So,
well, in that case, I would be dead. That'd be my wife shooting me because I snore a lot. If someone got shot because they was snoring, yeah, that'd be me.
Well, anyway,
easy to find.
This is 2022. Gonna post. Looking forward to 2023. This is the first ridiculous long episode of
Politrixx. You got some work to do, buddy.
And then I'm lazy, so I'm probably not gonna do it. Just because I don't do those. But thank you so much for participating, Brandy, Wes. You guys are amazing, and definitely would love to have you again. And this is Politrixx talking about stuff not filtered. Hopefully, there's something of value here, something to think about that you guys not just talking to talk, but sharing and hopefully find some solutions. Next episode, I would love to talk about the royal family, investing, life insurance, and some. I'm sure there'll be some celebrity gossip in there.
Royal family? You talking about who, the Jacksons? No, because that's our royal family.
Facts.
That was our royal
family.
The
original. Jackson. You're watching Politrixx, and we're out of here.